All right, so this is Ronald Shaw with FTT 111-53666. Today's date is 2/9/2025. In our first week's video, we are going to show the process of clearing a firearm and workspace and demonstrate process of performing a basic function check on the firearm of our choosing. So first things first, workspace is cleared of all live ammunition. If there was any live ammunition, it would be taken to a separate room so we cannot get it confused with a dummy round and have a catastrophe present itself. So I do have a round here. It is provided from SDI. It is a 9mm cartridge and it is a dummy round. So that will be in my workspace. That is the only ammunition in the workspace. We have an M&P 9 Shield, Smith & Wesson feeding device magazine. It is empty. Set that off to the side. Basic clearing of the firearm. We've already removed the feeding device. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up. I'm gonna slide it back. We're gonna lock it back. Gonna do a visual, physical check that we are now, the firearm is now cleared. So we go ahead and proceed into our basic function test of a firearm. So after doing the clearing of the firearm and the workspace, we're going to do a dry fire function test. First step is going to be the unlocking. We should feel a light or moderate resistance as the locking lug surface shear across each other. So because we have a blowback style, so we're going to, and there's a light to moderate resistance as we come back. The next step is going to be the caulking. Once unlocked, you'll feel the FCG's caulking. Should feel some kind of resistance and hear possibly some clicking all the way back in the cocked position. Now locking. The action recoil spring assists with locking of the breech. So we will come all the way forward and you'll feel that it is now locked. Now that we've ran through that, we are going to use our dummy rounds to run through the dry fire function test. Again, provided by SDI, 9mm dummy round. So we'll load that into our feeding device. From here, we will load this into the firearm. Now the firearm is loaded with a dummy round. On this particular 9mm, there are no safeties. So once it is locked and loaded, it is capable of being fired. So now during the feeding, the dummy round being fed into the chamber, we're gonna look for any hesitations or disruptions in that chamber, the cartridge into the chamber. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and slowly pull back on the slide. We are watching as it comes up out of the magazine, it pops up, and as we slowly let the recoil spring, there it slides into the chamber and slowly locks in with the spring. The recoil spring assists with the locking of the breech. It is now locked into place. There were no hesitations and there were no disruptions. That cartridge traveled from the feeding device into the chamber flawlessly. Extracting the dummy round after being chambered, we manipulate the action open, watching the extractor all the way through the action, all the way to the rear. Once we hit the rear, we're going to have the ejecting. The dummy round should be ejected from the breech, but because we're doing this slowly, it's not going to be accurate as with how far it should spring out beside us. It will tumble out and it will land on our mat that, again, provided by SDI. So this is going to be slow. We're going to watch everything the whole way through for the extracting and ejecting. So we can see that the ejector does have a hold of the head, and we get all the way to the back. Once we get to the back, it does spring out, and it does lock back because now the magazine is now empty. Through the basic function tests of my Smith & Wesson M&P Shield, throughout the basic function tests, there were no malfunctions. Everything ran smoothly as expected. So now that we have ran through it, through the dry fire, it slowly, now we're going to do it at speed just to verify different things that we would not see during the slow hand-fed process. So again, we're going to go ahead and drop the magazine, load the magazine with the dummy round provided by SDI. Gonna load that into the firearm. The firearm is now ready to be ran through the basic function test as at speed. So now this is going to be the feeding. It has now been fed. Everything ran smoothly. Now we're going to go through the extracting and ejecting, and it'll lock back because it'll be empty at this point. Sprung right out. Everything locked back. Basic function test proves that there is nothing malfunctioning in this firearm.